Okay, good evening, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay in the start of today's meeting, but we will call to order the regular council meeting for January the 8th. I would like to acknowledge that we are having this meeting on the Dene and Cree, on the traditional territory of the Dene and Cree and the Fort Nelson First Nation, as well as the northern part of the Dunnezao, the Prophet River First Nation. And we always recognize the contributions of the Métis Nation that live and work among us. So please be advised that tonight's meeting is available to the public to attend virtually, is being streamed and recorded. Are there any CAO additions? No, Mayor. Are there any council additions? Council Grumming?
Yeah, I have an addition, like council to discuss a possible thank you to healthcare workers.
Okay, put that 9.4 new business. Okay, are there any other additions to the agenda? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who wish to comment on tonight's agenda? No? Okay, adoption of the agenda is changed, please. Moved by Councillor Andrews, second by Councillor Roper. All in favor? Opposed, carried. There are two sets of minutes, one from the Regional Council of December 11th and one from the Committee of the Whole on December the 11th for adoption. So we'll move for adoption, moved by Councillor Gerwing, second by Councillor Enoch. Are there any errors or omissions for those meetings? Seeing none, all in favor of adoption? Carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Staff? Council? Okay, that takes us to admin report 0124, the Structural Protection Unit tender award.
Thank
Staff,
you, Mayor.
please.
Thank you, Mayor. Admin report 0124 is in front of you to receive approval for the award of the tender that went out for the purchase of the structural protection unit. Council can recall in late of 2023, we applied for and received a UBCM Community Emergency Prepared Fund grant to fund a portion of the contents of a trailer. And council was generally in favor of purchasing an entire trailer. So that purchase was tendered, and one successful bid was received from WASP Manufacturing for a total cost of $237,540 plus GST. So now I just need, if council is in support of this, a additional resolution to cover the remaining $182,540 from general surplus.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, would somebody like to make that resolution?
I'd move the recommended resolution that the structural protection unit tender be awarded to WASP Manufacturing Limited for the sum of $237,540 plus GST, with $182,540 expense from general surplus.
Moved by Councillor Roper. Do I have a second? Second by Councillor Enoch. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, just as a heads up, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 active fires still in our area. So this is a timely, it's rewarding to see, it's good to see something like this come full circle within the scope and memory and immediate need of an issue. So yes.
Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, that brings us to correspondence. There is some correspondence there for discussion. A letter from Northern Rockies Arts Council. I have a motion for discussion.
I'd make that
Councillor Roper, second by Councillor Andrews for discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, the floor is open.
I would happily recommend writing the letters of support for these applications.
Okay, so would you like to read the resolution as it's on your agenda at this time?
you want me to read it, John?
Yes, please.
That the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality supports the application to Northern Development Initiative Trust's Fabulous Festivals and Events Program for $2,500 from the Northern Rockies Arts Council for the 2024 Street Festival, and Northern Rockies Regional Municipality supports Northern Rockies Arts Council's application to the Canadian Heritage Grant, building communities through arts and heritage local festivals for up to $20,000 for the 2024 Street Festival, and resolves to commit $1,000 towards the street festival.
Thank you
Counselor.
for reading that. So moved by Counselor Roper and seconded by Counselor Enox. Is there any discussion? Counselor Andrews.
Would this 1,000 normally come out of the grant aid program?
Staff?
Or are they looking to get that instead of? Like,
They went to the grant need program.
I
Sure, that's-
understood this wording to be that they were committing 1,000, if, I could be wrong, but the way I read this is if they were successful in receiving the $20,000 grant from the Canadian Heritage Grant, building communities through arts and heritage, that they would commit 1,000 of that $20,000 to the street festival. So I don't think they were asking.
My interpretation is that the Northern Rockies municipality supports the application and resolves to commit $1,000 towards the street festival. That's my, because it's gonna cost a lot more than $1,000 for them to put on that street festival. I assume they're asking for $1,000. from
Total
us.
$21,000. 20,000 from whoever and 1,000 from us. That's the way I read it.
Well, then I don't think that that's appropriate, because there's a grant and aid that they have to go through to make application to that program, right? So then,
Perhaps we'd like to support the application and give them the information as to how to apply for the grant and aid and to get that full $1,000 they're looking for.
so we could just remove the, so just stop it up to $20,000 for the 2024 street festival, period.
Is there anybody who thinks we're gonna turn down $1,000 request if they go through the grant and aid program? Why not just leave it? Why not just leave it and ask them to apply? Go ahead.
I was just gonna remind council that if applicants are eligible and meet the criteria, that they would be approved anyways. It wouldn't require council's resolution
Right, that's right.
based on the resolution last year. So we can just redirect them to the grants and aid. They've got some time. I think it's not till September to go through that process.
I mean, I'm willing to support the $1,000 today or tomorrow or at any time. So
you just wanted to ensure proper process was followed, that's all.
So what would you like to do?
What's your
There's a
motion?
resolution on the floor that includes the 1,000, so there would need to be
Can I
an
propose,
amendment.
propose an amendment to strike the resolves to commit 1,000 towards the street festival off the second portion of the recommendation? I'd make that movement.
Okay. The amendment by Counselor Andrews, is there a seconder to that amendment? Second by Counselor Dickey. Is there discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment? Opposed? The amendment carries. Okay, so we're back to the main motion as amended. Is there any further discussion on the main motion as amended? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That carries. With a note back to them to apply for the $1,000 through the normal thing. That direction to staff, I think, is good. Okay, thank you. Okay, 8.2 is a letter from Shanae Malika, Fort Nelson Community Literacy Society, request for support. If somebody can put that on the floor, please. Moved by Counselor Andrews that we.
seconded.
Second by Counselor Roper that we discuss this. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay. Is there anybody who has anything to say or would like to make a motion?
I won't make a motion, but just to remind council that I am the chair of the Literacy Society, but this is a non-monetary issue, so I don't believe I'm in conflict, but just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. Counselor Roper.
Yes, I would be willing to make the motion to support the activity presented here.
Okay, I think that it,
That would be to support the pursuing project funding for Fort Nelson to join a zonal immigration partnership with Fort St. John and Dawson Creek communities. I'll second that.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
moved by Counselor Roper, seconded by Counselor Andrews. Is there any further discussion or any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, there are 10 letters there, both coming and going, and information packages for us to receive for information. Would somebody like to make that motion? Moved by Counselor Souls, second by Counselor Enax, that items 8.3 through to 8.12 be received for information. Is there any discussion? Seeing that? Oh, go ahead.
Tiny little bit. I just noticed that Adrian Dix actually can back up a wee little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
I agree with that. All right, all in favor, receive for information, opposed, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, it brings us down to new business. 9.2, actually, I should have put 9.4 at 9.2, 9.1, but there it is. 9.2, council appointment to the OCP Update Advisory Committee. CAO Barry, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Just looking for council's direction regarding the OCP advisory committee. Typically, we have a couple counselors involved in that process. I believe you have some, given that some thought.
Yeah, I've spoken with, had a discussion with Councilor Souls and Councilor Gerwing. They're both agreed to sit on the committee, although all of us can participate and will participate at various times along, but they're looking for somebody to actually sit on the advisory committee. Councilor Gerwing expressed an interest, and I approached Councilor Souls from a rural perspective, and both are interested, and so I would put forward those names. Interested in conversation.
Can I just speak to that for a moment?
Sure.
If anybody else is interested, I will gladly step back and if somebody's interested in sitting on the OCP committee, so feel free. Or not.
So I think we need a motion then to appoint Councilor Souls and Councilor Gerwing to the OCPs. Okay, moved by Councilor Dickey. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Enax, that Councilor Souls and Councilor Gerwing be appointed to the OCP steering committee. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We have an email poll to a request to waive the grant and aid policy and approval to cover the cost of the rental hall. So I think we just need a formal resolution to do that. So that was the community hall for the bingo fundraiser for the Torville family. So I have a motion to ratify that resolution.
I'd make that motion.
Okay, moved by Councilor Roper, second by Councilor Dickey. Is there any further discussion? I hear it went well. Yeah, so that's good that we could have a part in that. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, that brings us to 9.4, the thank yous to the healthcare workers. Councilor Gerwing, please.
Yeah, so council, thank you. I appreciate you adding this to the agenda. So I just wanted to bring to you, well, not that this is new to you, but so many people have worked so hard in our communities to ensure medical services have been covered as best as possible throughout the past number of years. And having the Fort Nelson General Hospital remove services, or better known as diversion on December 26th has impacted many, many people. To that end, I propose that mayor and council communicate our gratitude to everyone who has dedicated themselves to ensuring medical services continue at Fort Nelson General Hospital, and to all those who answered the call on December 26th and throughout the holiday season to ensure our communities had access to care. I would like to see something posted on our social media feeds and letters sent to the doctors, the personnel at Fort Nelson General Hospital, including their casual staff, our local BC Emergency Health Services personnel, many who gave up holiday time with family unexpectedly, and to Jonathan, always butcher his last name, so I'm not going to try, but you know who I'm talking about, Manager of Clinical Operations for Northeast BC, and to the staff from BC Emergency Health Services and Northern Health who came up from Fort St. John to cover shifts, and to everyone else that I've missed. So open here for to highlight anybody that I've missed. And I'm totally open to suggestions, and this wording was just designed to start it.
So would you like to put a motion on the floor?
Yeah, that's it then.
So I'm hearing that Counselor Gurling is moving that a letter of appreciation be sent from mayor and council to healthcare workers
Yeah,
for
expressing our gratitude.
for the work provided out, for the work provided over the course of the December break.
Well, like, okay, do we just want to talk about the break or just express our gratitude
No, I
for
think the-
everybody that's worked above and beyond to keep the hospital open throughout, because it's been an extended time. It all came to a head on December 26th, but there's been lots of people working extra shifts and all.
There, I was just trying to keep, the letter, I think, can express all of that. I was just trying to keep the resolution short. The letter itself will discuss all of those things, our appreciation and for all of the extra work that everybody did to make sure that if that's
Okay. Yep.
good enough for you.
Yeah, I
Sort of-
just, yep. That we just communicate our gratitude to everyone who has dedicated themselves to ensuring medical services continue at Fort Nelson General Hospital, and to all those who answered the call on December 26th and throughout the holiday season. With
Right.
that, it's good?
Sure.
Okay.
Seconded.
Moved. Would you provide a copy of that to staff so that they can, so that they have? Okay. Moved by Councilor Growing, second by Councilor. Comments or questions? Who do we send it to? Who are all of these people? Does there somebody have any idea who it is that we can contact to find out who, because if you miss somebody, or is it just a general?
Are you looking at it going to specific individuals with
Right.
names, or are you looking at it a broad? Because the challenge would be is from confidential perspective, is getting all the names and
Yep.
stuff, so.
Yep.
A recommendation or a suggestion, I should say, might be where it goes to the various superiors and ensures that it gets passed and cascades down. So it can go, for instance, to Jonathan, to thank him and all his staff, including this staff. It can go to the hospital and thanking all the nurses, including the casuals and people, like all of the, something to that extent. Does that work? Is that
Yeah.
what you're thinking?
Yeah.
I didn't intend it to be addressed to
Individual.
Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so,
Well,
to the agencies involved.
I wasn't sure because you started talking about that. You really started to get kind of specific about who, and so I just wasn't sure if we were actually writing names in or if it's generally. So one to the doctors and one to the staff. Okay, I'm good. If that's a direction that staff takes, that it's a general letter addressed to the various groups that participated and a request for them to cascade it down. Okay, good. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, are there any councillor reports? Councillor next.
along with the other meetings we had in December, I had 2 meetings with the Alaska Highway Community Society, and sadly that group is dissolving. However, I've filled that space with the Northeast Destination Development Advisory Committee. Attended the CF Corp open house just before Christmas, and we had an amazing weaving workshop headed by Counselor Dickey. And we all just want to say it was great. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing your heritage and culture. December 23rd, I hope you all got out to the community Christmas dinner. I went and served for a couple hours and enjoyed it later on that evening. And we just had a museum meeting, and Heritage Days is back. So mark your calendars for the 24th and 25th of February. Come down to the museum and enjoy some music and banner. And just to thank you from the Torville family and all the friends for your support for the bingo we just had on Saturday. It went over really well, and we raised some good funds for the family.
Are there any other reports, Council Growing?
So January 3rd, I attended the community roundtable and heard from all the not-for-profits and the programming that they have going, continuing. And something new to report is that the RCMP will be working with the lamplighters around fraud that's directed to seniors. Apparently, well, I think we all know, but there was quite a large discussion on seniors that have been targeted in our community. So there'll be more details to follow, and I'll share as I find them out. January the 4th, I attended the BC Rural Health Network meeting where there was a panel discussion around hospital usage of agency nurses and the impacts that is having on rural and remote hospitals. So that was a really interesting hour-and-a-half panel. January 5th, I attended the Community Health Plan Steering Committee meeting. There was a presentation by Hope Air and a few new items to note that there's new funding from the province around travel for cancer care, for those that didn't know. And interesting, the financial need threshold is a household income of under $150,000. So it really ups that eligibility for families. So help to spread the word on that. Non-cancer patients, the household income eligibility is $80,000, but that's somewhat flexible depending on what that circumstances might be for that household. So when in doubt, apply anyways, and Hope Air will do everything that they can to provide assistance. And just of interest, Hope Air hosted 153 flights out of Fort Nelson in 2023. Fort Nelson General Hospital, January 15th, there's a new start date for a new RN. And he wanted to start early. Interesting, because he wanted to start earlier, but he couldn't get licensed in BC. So he went to Alberta to get fast-tracked, and he's now coming back to BC. So perhaps this is something that we can include in our lobbying efforts for the future. And Go Health BC is an organization that provides traveling nurses throughout the province of BC. Fort Nelson is currently not on the list as a receiving hospital, but is being fast-tracked. And hopefully we will have access to these nurses late January to mid-February. And BC Emergency Health Services had an additional crew, and the district manager was on site in Fort Nelson throughout December 26th to provide health services as needed. And discussion continues around creating some sort of hybrid model that could provide emergency services throughout any future hospital closings. Recruiting for them continues to go really well, with a few locals coming on as drivers only, and then proceeding through the training opportunities afforded by BC Emergency Health Services. And there's an opportunity for them to go right up to paramedic and beyond and have everything paid for by BC Emergency Health Services, including their time. So that's a wonderful opportunity for our locals. And great news, Rotary will be sponsoring the public bus on Thursdays so that all riders can ride for free. This is helpful for everyone, especially those in need and those that need to get to the food bank during the winter. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Good, thank you. I do not have a report. It was one meeting that I attended though, and I just don't have the minutes. The very last meeting of the Resource Municipalities, where we spoke with the Deputy Minister of Environment. about some of their policies and how they affect northern communities. So next time when I bring my notes, I'll report out on that. Otherwise, it was a good break. I hope everybody had a good break, and I'm really looking forward to the new year. So that brings us all the way down to the notice of motion that I had. So this probably should have been taken care of under new business, but that's all right. It's here now. So I made a notice of motion at the last meeting that I was interested in a community newsletter. And so I would like to move that staff research and report to council on the feasibility and establishment of a community newspaper, or newsletter. I think I'll leave it at that if I have a seconder. So that's second by Councillor Souls. Discussion, questions first? So go ahead, Councillor Souls.
I think even today, if you happen to stop in Chetwynd for some reason at any of the eating places or half of the gas stations, you will find the little community one pager that is there. It's there every week and has been for a very, very, very long time. And it's quite fascinating how much, it's not that I get them very often because I'm not in Chetwynd often, but it's fascinating how much information is on a one page. It's really interesting.
Thank you. So I know that there are several communities that I think since Dawson Creek lost their newspaper, I think they started up the small newsletter as well. Taylor's had the Taylor Times since I can remember. It's up to about 10 pages now, and it's essentially a legal size with the fold in the middle, and it folds together, and it's laid out that way. I think, from talking to some of the nonprofits at the community roundtable last month, there'd be interest in participating in content. I think there's room for a calendar that people can have to look at, a document, so whether it's front page, inside page, or back page, that talks about all the different community events. We heard here just the other night that people didn't know about, some of the meetings that were happening. Now when they're it depends on how often you do it, but if, every couple of weeks, potentially, I think there's probably enough information in this community to fill a newsletter like that. We heard from Ben Wall that it's a place potentially that he can advertise postings for the community forest. So I envision that it's both an online and a hard copy document. So I would hope that staff will look at, its potential format, its potential distribution costs, and come together with some type of a budget. We also know that the Chamber of Commerce is interested in doing something like this. Is it a partnership? Is it a proposal to help them? What do those types of things look like? So once I started talking to people about it, there was lots of different ideas. So I'm sure that someone in our staff and communications could probably pull together a report that identifies what it might cost and what the feasibility of putting something like this are together. Anybody else? Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Is there any public questions? Questions from the public? Seeing none. Okay. That brings us to a resolution to move in camera pursuant to 91A1. I have a motion for that, please. Moved by Councillor Souls, second by Councillor Berwin. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We'll move in camera. Okay, we are reconvened into the regular council meeting. There is no report from the in-camera meeting. Everything will stay in camera for the time being. So we are ready to adjourn the regular meeting. Adjournment, please. Moved by Councillor Souls, second by Councillor Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.